Hey, everyone. Anthony Fantano here, internet's busiest music nerd. You know who it is. And interesting headline here coming from Consequence of Sound, so shout out to them. Musicians only received 12% of the music industry's $43 billion of total revenue in 2017. They state lower in the article over here, musicians are turning now more to touring as a big source of income. This is sort of making up the gap, but not really. According to an extensive report from Citigroup via Pitchfork, the industry's $43 billion in revenue of 2017, 12%, and that apparently accounts for only $5 billion of that $43 billion that we were talking about up there. So a few things to go off of here. One, lately, the recording industry, through streaming, has been logging record profits. Okay, don't let anybody tell you that because there's less money being made now because album sales are down in the toilet because of streaming, that there's less money to go around. I think effectively a lot of these labels have found out ways to kind of game money away from the artists. And I sort of wonder what these numbers are in comparison to whatever chunk of revenue musicians used to make way back in the day. And how is this comparable to, let's say, how much do baseball or basketball players make in terms of like an overall chunk of the money that professional sports generate? I think these numbers are pretty important to take note of over here in terms of like the type of wealth that is flashed around in the music industry, especially nowadays since hip hop has become the zeitgeist. Like when you see your favorite rapper stunting in their house, they're flexing in a nice car, they have so many chains, gigantic, bedazzled chains full of diamonds that are colored a variety of different ways. That's a lot of money. It is a lot of money. It is quite a bit of money that it takes to attain those things. But keep in mind the kind of wealth that is still very much on the lower end of the spectrum of wealth. You know, a lot of these kids are getting taken. They're getting hosed, honestly. You think that Lil Pump is in a deal right now where he's making back 70 or 80% of the money that he's generating for his label? I can guarantee you that that's not the case. I can guarantee you that that is not the case. Lil Pump, I'm sure, is doing fine overall, especially if he makes good financial decisions or has people making good financial decisions for him going forward. But here's the thing. The label does not sign you, and the label does not hand you $1 million, $2 million, even $10 million if they're not planning on making back that money and more. Okay, the label doesn't sign you just because they think you're cool or they think you're super talented. Some of them might have a vested interest in your music. They might think your music's pretty good. But honestly, they're signing you because they want to make money off of you. That's what they do. And they want to make more money from you than they give to you, or else that would be a loss in profit. So you need to keep in mind going forward, in these types of negotiations, how much money is the label going to make off of me? How much money could the label make off of me? Could I make more just going independently? And if I know that the label is going to make so much more money off of me, I know that with me they can generate 3, 4, 5 times as much revenue. How can I negotiate myself for a larger chunk of that pie? Because a bulk of this money we have going toward record execs and middlemen and so on and so forth. And for a lot of the people who are on the bottom rung, the rungs of the music industry, they don't get paid very well either. Obviously, I think their pay should be increased too, because it does take a lot to do PR. It does take a lot to work in live events and touring and that sort of thing. I'm not advocating for anybody to pull money out of those people's pockets, those very hardworking people's pockets. But clearly, artists are getting the short end of the stick here to only be getting 10% of the earnings from this thing that if you did not create it, the entire industry wouldn't even exist. Just kind of seems a little, just a touch, just a little exploitative, if I can use that word. I guess knowledge is power, guys. Knowledge is power. You know, don't just eat up and instantaneously just believe all the shit that you hear, all the shit that you read about how rich or how successful a particular artist may be, how braggadocious they are with how much money they make or have, or so on and so forth. And don't just buy into this narrative that the music industry is making less money overall. They're not making as much money. Oh, the dinosaurs are dying. Blah, blah, blah. No, they're making money. They're doing fine. And don't just accept a deal for absolutely nothing. Don't just accept a deal blindly for 10% of your creativity, of your hard work, which is the only reason money is being generated in the first place. So I don't know. I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to leave this article down below in the description box, and hopefully my words have resonated with some of you who might one day find yourselves in the midst of an opportunity where maybe you'll make a smarter decision than you would have otherwise before you sort of understood these percentages, before you knew these percentages. Don't get hosed. Don't get taken for a fool, because a career in the music industry is not guaranteed. It is not guaranteed. And if you spend the entirety of your music career getting a shit percentage, I mean, at the end of all of it, the fame is fleeting. You know, some kids will take almost nothing just to get that fame, just to get that attention, because people unfortunately are that hungry for it. And I don't know, you got to think of your long-term future first. It's more important. Over here next to my head is another video that you can check out. Hit that upworthy link to subscribe to the channel. Anthony Fantano, forever